Thanks for checking out another clip of the Cashflow Contractor. We'd love to have you as a part of our audience. Click subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
So the first principle is reciprocity. And the
Okay.
principle of reciprocity states basically that if I give something to you, you are more likely to want to give something to me. If I give something to you first, you're more likely to want to give something to me. So for example, if I give you a birthday present, you are more likely to feel that obligation to give me a birthday present when my birthday comes along. Or if I invite you to a party at my house, you're more likely to feel that you should invite me to a party at your house. So that's the principle of reciprocity. And
Now that one applies kind of, I invite you to the expensive golf course. You're more likely to jump on a sales call with me or to buy,
exactly.
it's not necessarily
Right.
tit for tat is what I'm saying. It's reciprocity can be across domains, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let me give you an example of this principle. I'm going to take a little more advanced. Well, let's start with an easier one. So they did a study in restaurants, and in the control group, they would have the waiter go. This is before the tip machines, where they do your credit card and you push the
Right.
buttons. Remember back in the day when you used to actually leave a
Right.
tip? And so the control group, the waiter goes up and says, thank you for eating here. Here's your bill. So they had a baseline of what tips they would get. Then in the first experimental group, the waiter would go with the bill, but they would put some mints, like some candies, on the tray. You've seen this before, right?
Yeah.
And what
Sure.
they found is just by putting those candies on the tray, tips went up 3%. Now, 3% doesn't sound like a lot, but if I'd told you that I could get you a raise tomorrow of 3%, you just had to give me a few mints, you'd probably be on board with
Good.
that.
Sure.
But it gets better because they then had the waiter go in the second experimental case, they had the waiter go and give, instead of on the tray with the mints, they would put a mint in front of each of the guests. Well, tips went up 14%. And when they did a third test and they put mints on the tray, gave them the bill, walked away, and the waiter said, you know what, for you fine people, an extra mint, and gave one mint to each one, a second mint, tips went through the roof, over 20% increase. And so that illustrates the principle of reciprocity. Giving something unexpected, it's not about the size of the gift, but giving something unexpected and personal activates on this principle of reciprocity. And
Yeah.
I would bet you that most of those people didn't even realize they were giving more of a tip. Like if you asked me, oh, if you get a mint, do you tip higher? I would say no, of course not, because my rational brain doesn't think it. But what we're talking about is that system one brain, that sort of automatic human nature that just makes you say, oh, you gave to me,
Shortcut.
I should give
Yeah.
to you. Yeah.
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 You know, especially, I don't know, I think about ways that you can just separate yourself. Like that's one example of the reciprocity and influencing people. But it's also a way of separating yourself, right? Of like being diligent enough to go the extra mile, to be personable. And that is
Yeah.
such a big separator. Like I go to coffee shops frequently for meetings and different stuff like that. And there's one coffee shop in Oklahoma City that looks you in the eyes and asks you how you're doing and compliments you on something that you're
Yeah.
wearing. And then they ask you, what would you like? And then they give you, well, do you like it sweeter? Do you like it a little bit, bolder? Oh, okay, great. And then they say, why don't you have a seat? I'll bring you your coffee. You don't need to wait up here. I'll bring you your coffee. And then
Yeah.
they come and they bring it to you. And when they bring it to you, they say your name again. Here you go, Khalil. Is there anything else that I can get you?
Yeah.
And yeah, it takes a little bit more effort, sure. But now I go back to that coffee shop every time I have a meeting in Oklahoma City
I love
because
that.
it's a
And
great experience.
Yeah.
I love that example. And you're actually talking about a different principle there, which is the
Let's do it.
principle of liking. And so the
Ah,
principle of liking says that others will say yes to us more when they know we genuinely like them. And so
hmm.
you're describing that
Using
coffee
their
shop,
name.
they
Yeah.
are just acting on the principles of liking, like, crazy. They're paying so much attention to you. They're using your name. They're finding out your special needs. And so all of that allows us to increase the liking effect that's going on. And there's
Mm.
a lot of studies around building rapport. So even they did one at KPMG, which is an accounting firm, and they found that the relationship between the account managers, the ones that had weak relationships would get agreement to a specific offer 30% of the time. The ones who had strong relationships would get thank you or agreement, 70% of the time.
Wow.
So huge difference just because
Yeah.
we have a stronger relationship.
And so what does that look like in terms of, what are some things that maybe Robert talks about in terms of liking people? Because sometimes people are hard to like.
Yeah, sometimes people are hard to like. But what he does suggest is just finding similarities. So even if you're not crazy about that person, do your homework, figure out what you have in common. And if you can find things in common, that will generally activate on the liking. And there's so many things you can go with. Also, giving genuine compliments, as you were
Yeah.
pointing out. Just not not faking and not being obsequious, but just a genuine like, wow, I really like that shirt that you have on today, or oh, I prefer my coffee that way as well. Just finding those common grounds will
Right.
help a lot with liking.
Yeah. No, that's really good. Okay. I don't know if we took you out of order by me giving my example
Not
here,
at all.
but reciprocity, liking. Let's go to the next principle.
Sure. Well, the next one, and these three all work together. You didn't stray at all, because these three work under the category of sort of relationship, building relationship.
Okay.
So reciprocity, I give to you, you give to me. Liking, that's where we activate on our commonality. Unity is a principle. He actually didn't codify this one until the 2000s. He found this one later,
Oh,
but felt that it had to be added because it's just such a strong piece. And it's sort of, in some ways, it can be complicated to differentiate between liking and unity. Unity is sort of creating that sense of we-ness and togetherness, and we're on the same team. And the way I would describe unity when we talk about that is, well, here we have a hockey team called the Vancouver Canucks, where I'm from.
Yeah.
And so if I'm a fan of the Canucks and you're a fan of the Canucks, well, that would be activating on liking, right? We have something in common. But if we're both on the Canucks, that's unity. That's us being on the same team together. So
Does that apply? One place I see that is business owners. Groups of business owners have so much to identify with, and when we're working with coaching, the fact that others, even if they don't know them yet, I don't know
Yeah.
if this applies here, but that they're not the only ones who has that emotion, response, reaction, feeling, I'm no good. Well, yeah, you are. Anyway.
Well, yeah, I think what
Please.
you're describing, we're all in this cohort of business owners, and
Right.
that's something we have in common, and that's liking. If you put us in a peer networking group or a peer advice group, then we'd be on the same team. Might even give ourselves a name. I'm going to meet with the so and so group, and then that brings us into unity because we're all in it together.
yeah. Okay. And that's a really powerful one that you should leverage with your team, right? Not just with external people, but literally inside your company, right?
Absolutely, because you definitely are a team there, or you should be. And
Right.
one way to create that unity bond, or to start creating that unity bond, is actually co-creation. So building
Okay.
something together. And when you see those team building exercises and they're making things out of spaghetti and marshmallows or whatever, the point of that is they're trying to create that bonding team experience, that unity, the stories that you go back to because we were in those trenches together. But unity is hard to create right off the bat with clients, but there is actually, or suppliers or anyone else, there is one thing you can do though, which is, instead of asking for people's opinions or feedback, ask them for advice. When you ask for an opinion or you ask for feedback, you're creating a critic. But when you ask for advice, now you're co-creating and you're both wanting to win. So asking for advice is one way to begin activating on unity because you're bringing the person onto your team.
That's good. That's good.
Thanks for checking out a clip from the Cashflow Contractor. We have full episodes where we go deep on topics that help you grow a construction business that runs without you so you can have less stress, more time, more money. Now, we've got other videos, other clips, but if you want to check out the full episode for this clip, you can click wherever our editor put it. It might be here, might be there, might be over my face, I don't know. But thank you for checking us out. We'd love to have you as a part of our audience. So subscribe or check out a full episode wherever you get podcasts.